My name's Eric Prisbell. I'm the national NBA writer for Sports Business Journal, and I've covered top-level AAU basketball and the national college basketball scene for more than 25 years, including at the Washington Post and at USA Today. And I'm thrilled to be here today to talk to all the guys about my experiences with the players, with the coaches, and about how to navigate a very fast-changing world of AAU basketball.
This guy that could shoot like crazy, but nobody ever thought he could play in the NBA. Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Durant, you name it. Now, the overarching message that I'd love to get across from you guys, and I say this from having worked with, having interviewed, spent a lot of time with all of the top college basketball coaches over the years, from Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Scott Drew, Bill Self, you name it, as well as the players, is this. Use basketball as a vehicle to take you where you want to go in life. Use basketball to help you get to where you want to go in life. Don't let basketball use you. And you might not understand what that fully means right now, but I've seen it happen time and time again with so many athletes, beginning when they're 12 years old on up. And there's so many different paths you could take that are not staying, that you won't stay on the right path to accomplish your goal. And that means if your goal is to play high school basketball, play Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, NBA, international, whatever it may be. This is an amazing game. I love it. It's been my whole life. It's allowed me to live my dream and cover 16 Final Fours, the NBA Finals, meet all of these great athletes and tell their stories like they should be told. But it's an opportunity you have to use to your benefit. So how do you do that? 3 quick things. Surround yourself with people you could trust. Not who you think you might be able to trust, who you know you can trust. They have your best interests at heart. It's critical. It's absolutely critical. Number 2, education. And I mean education about the industry. You know, not only pick and roll and help defense. All of those things are very important, and work ethic and passion. But what are you going to do if you're recruited by a college coach and he says, if you come here, I guarantee you get NIL money, you get $20,000 every year. It's guaranteed from your name, image, and likeness off your brand. All you got to do is sign this contract, and you give up your NIL rights for 4 years. You don't want to give up your NIL rights. It gets complicated as you get older if you're in that circumstance, and that's why you need to be educated. You need to have the people around you who can give you great advice. And the third thing is, and I remember Mike Krzyzewski specifically told me this, he always tells his players, he told them, before he retired, you're running your own race. You're not running against anybody else. Don't worry if this guy's ahead of you, this guy's taller, this guy has this growth spurt, this guy can do this move, I can't do it. You're all running your own race, and you can get there at different points. I've seen late bloomers. I've seen a guy named Shea Cotton out in California who could dunk at 12 years old, best 12-year-old in the history of the world, never played in the NBA because he made bad decisions. I just want to talk to you about 3 players specifically that I got to know when they were young, and for different reasons. And if there's something that you might be able to remember or take out of these stories, that'd be great. And the first one is a kid from Akron, Ohio, who is unbelievably still playing, and at the peak of his powers, LeBron James with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I go back to 2001 with LeBron, where he sent his coach sent a videotape to Sonny Vaccaro, who I've known forever, and he was as influential in AAU basketball as anybody who's really ever lived. He helped Michael Jordan sign with Nike to get the first shoe, and LeBron was trying to get into the top camp, which was the ABCD camp in New Jersey. The videotape was amazing. So LeBron went to the camp as a sophomore, and then the buzz started. You started hearing all about this kid. And I went there, I think I was 21 years old or something, covering it for a newspaper I was working at the time. And the talk then, when talking to LeBron at that camp, and he had the big hair and everything, and talking to his mom, Gloria, was not, hey, this guy's gonna go pro out of high school. It was, this guy's gonna go pro after his junior year of high school. That's what everybody was talking about then. It didn't happen. It wasn't allowed to happen, but he was good enough to make it happen. And I'm telling you, this is an event where you have all the college coaches in the country. At the time, you had NBA scouts because guys could go pro right out of high school. They're all in the stands. You have 4 courts. It is high profile. It's a marquee event. The only time I've ever seen them shut down all other 3 courts so everybody could focus on just one. And it was one matchup. LeBron James against a player who was older than him, #1 ranked Lenny Cook, and they went head to head. There's a lot of talk on the internet about this game. There's no videotape of it, and I remember I was sitting right there on the court, and you had a sense of how special it was as you watched it. It went back and forth. At the end, LeBron drives down by 1. He takes it full court, throws up like a 20-footer moonshot. Absolute swish. The whole place goes nuts. And at the time, you thought, hey, LeBron, this is like the next second coming of Magic Johnson. And Lenny Cook, he's going to be amazing in the NBA too. Lenny Cook never played in the NBA. He had the wrong people around him, and he made some bad decisions. And he admittedly made those bad decisions. And he looks back at it now with regret. And he talks to a lot of people about what should have been done. And on the other side, you see LeBron. He's done everything right. Everything right, on and off the court. One of the best players to ever live, a global icon, has done so much to help kids and with education, and he's really a role model. So that's one example. The second example was a couple years later. I went back to ABCD camp when I was at the Washington Post, and there was this 6'9" point guard there. You know, this is a camp with like 200 of the best seniors, high major players, guys who are some of them are gonna play in the NBA. A few juniors, maybe a couple sophomores that are truly amazing. And I said to a college coach, "This is a 6'9" point guard?" He said, no. Guess what? He's a freshman in high school, and he's playing 6'9" point guard, destroying seniors who are going to be high major players. He was the #1 ranked player in the country in 9th grade, Renardo Sidney from Jackson, Mississippi. This was before Twitter. This guy was incredible. I got to know him really well, got to know his family really well. They were not prepared for the attention that came their way. And you know, he was in the class with DeMarcus Cousins, a name you may know in the NBA. And there were so many people coming at Renardo offering money. And back then, all of it was illegal. That was before NIL. Offering this, offering that, come play with this team. And his father didn't know any better. And he took all of it, or he took a lot of it. And I was with the family doing a huge story on them because Renardo had already taken money. He was not allowed to play high school basketball, ineligible to play. He said, I don't need it. All I need is AAU basketball to be a star. Agents in Los Angeles and entertainment, powerful entertainment people moved his whole family out to LA so he could be a star. That's what they said. This is Hollywood, be a star here. They gave him so much money, they put him up in a mansion. And it wasn't only that they put him in a mansion. Guess who got the master bedroom in that mansion? It was 15-year-old Renardo Sidney, because he was the moneymaker in the family. You want to talk about too much pressure, too much expectations, how things could go to your head? Everything did. He didn't have a good head on his shoulders. You know, I've seen him a lot over the years, and he's told me he has a lot of regret, but he understands now where it went wrong. He played college basketball at Mississippi State. He did well, but there were too many red flags, too many issues. He never played in the NBA, and it's a huge regret for him. But now he could talk to kids and tell them what went wrong for him, and maybe what not to do. And the third person I want to highlight is a local kid who grew up in Dallas and then moved to Flower Mound, Texas. That I got to know really well. I got to know his family really well. I did a huge story on him when he was a freshman at Oklahoma State. His name was Marcus Smart. And Marcus, we talked for hours, and he would tell me, as a kid, what did he like to do? He liked to throw rocks at people's heads. That's what he did. And he thought he was going to wind up in jail. His friends thought he was going to wind up in jail. He loved playing basketball, but he was going way off the track there. And he knew if he had any chance to fulfill his dream of playing in the NBA, he had to get it in gear. And he dedicated himself to playing for his family, being inspired by his family. He went to Oklahoma State, and you know, I used to go up there a lot to watch him play. And you know, he was not the biggest guy. He was 6'3", decent height, but you know, for a point guard in the NBA, it's not incredible. Not a great jump shot. You know, aggressive, not super fast. You know, is he going to be able to play in the league? And after one of the games, Kevin Durant was with the Thunder, and he came and watched him play and score like 30 plus and had a great game. I was there after the game. I got off press row, went up to Kevin and said, "What do you think? Do you think he could someday play in the NBA?" He said, "He could play in the NBA right now, Eric. He's good enough right now." And a lot of people weren't sure about that. Marcus Smart proved them all wrong. He's been in the league about 10 years now, and he just earned Defensive Player of the Year. And that's a story about perseverance. It's a story about finding your role. And not everybody's going to score 20 points, but there is a role. If there's a role you could fulfill, you could go really far in basketball. And he plays in the Boston Celtics. They almost won the NBA championship. They got to the finals, and he really stands out to me as well. I could tell you about countless players across the league that I dealt with over the years, but those three really stood out. And just to close, again, the key message that I'd like to share is use basketball to help you get to where you want to go, and don't let basketball use you, because it could open up so many doors for you as a player or as a coach, work for a team's front office, whatever it may be. But it's an amazing sport. You guys are in really good hands here, and so I wish you the best of luck, and thanks a lot for the time. Anybody have any questions?
Player in the last 10 years.
Oh boy. Last 10 years. I'd go 15 years and I'd say Kevin Durant was the best guy I've ever saw. I saw him first play when he was 12 years old when I lived in Maryland, and he was the best that I've seen. It's so crazy. I go back like 20 years. There was a guy named DeJuan Wagner who scored 100 points in a high school game, and now his son is a top high school player, I think in a junior class perhaps, but DJ Wagner, yeah. So that's DeJuan Wagner's son. So DJ's dad could play, but there was a health issue that shortened his NBA career, unfortunately.
Have you ever got to cover a player like LaMelo Ball whenever he was a freshman playing varsity?
Yeah, absolutely. You mean a talented player who was on varsity as a freshman? Like that? Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, some of the guys we talked about, I mentioned Renardo, and he wasn't eligible to play high school basketball, but he was certainly capable, as a freshman. I'm just trying to think of some of the freshmen. I go back to a guy named Sebastian Telfair, who was Stephon Marbury's younger cousin. The name may not ring a bell, but I love the kid. He's from Brooklyn. He had such charisma and personality, and everybody thought he was going to be the next big thing. He was a New York City playground legend in a city that loves point guards, when he was in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. But he didn't grow, and he had a little bit of an attitude problem as well. And so, he got to the NBA, but then, it got cut short after that, I think. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.